Hello, hello. Unreal. What I just experienced. Okay, I just had to go through. Okay, I'm dramatizing a bit, but like Zoom for the past probably 30 or 40 minutes, I've been trying to get it to work. I usually use these headphones. They're not going to move because my charger is like literally like I have to have it like in this exact position. You know how it is sometimes, or it just like doesn't charge. But anyways, we're here now. So yeah, I could easily be 40 minutes in this, but instead we start now. This is life. Um, Very interesting chart. I kind of, it's very interesting that I've been seeing this trend over and over, and I want to consistently, really quickly, like check the audio. Okay, so it looks like it's good. One thing. Okay, test, test, test. It's choppy. So I want to check the audio. Blah blah blah. Let's see. I want to check the audio. Test, test, test. Okay. Well, I know these charge my bows for like, I don't know, 20 minutes and then probably try to switch it, but I guess they were at 45 minutes of battery power. I think they charge pretty quickly. But anyways, let's dive right in. Okay, last name is hidden. Let's go ahead and show the screen and go over there. Okay, let's pull up the aspect grid. On. So yeah, we got Sun in Libra conjunct Venus. Um, Mercury just outside of the combustion zone. So that's good. And let's see. Moon in Gemini conjunct Mars in Gemini. Interesting. You'll see that very often. Moon conjunct Mars. And yeah, you have a nice trine between your sun and your moon. So I guess you could say like the feminine, that Libra part of you and that Gemini part. These are two air signs, same element. That's why I call it trine. They get along very, very well. And I give the same metaphor, but it maybe one day I'll come up with a different one. I switch it up occasionally, but basically it's like if you were a boat and you had two captains, one masculine side, one feminine side, or the two parts of you, the masculine and feminine, it's even easier. They're both headed in similar directions, right? The goals of Gemini Moon and Libra Sun are quite similar. So that's typically known as one of the better aspects you can have in astrology to have your Sun, your Moon in accordance. Now I can tell you from firsthand experience and experience of many, many clients, how difficult it can be when you have an opposition or a square like myself between the Sun and Moon. You can feel like there's like two beings within you trying to coexist. Now, interestingly enough, I'm not going to call it a elemental grand trine, but your north node is also an air. So north node and it's conjunct the ascendant. So right off the bat, karmically, like very evident to me is that you're trying to really, really learn about communication this lifetime and everything related to the air element. Um, there's a reason we have the charts we have, right? If in a past life, like I've had clients, many clients where, for example, they had no water in their chart, but their south node was in Cancer or in Pisces, and I'll be like, all right, well, you probably conquered that element. So in your case, it's fire. You have no fire in your chart, but your south node, meaning like your past life tendency, is in Leo, fire sign. So basically, the way I look at that, and no one's taught me this, like I've kind of taught myself this, I guess you could say, through logic and just like it just makes complete sense to me that in past lives, you've gone past that, so the fire stuff, even though you don't have it in your chart, it still could come kind of naturally. That's what's really interesting. I think a lot of astrologers probably making an assumption here. I don't know for sure, but I would imagine they would overlook that. They may like say something like, "Oh, you have no fire in your chart. You have issues with like I'm describing it. You may have trouble with assertiveness and kind of finding your own power and following through on things and this, that, and the third, and not following through, starting things, projects, kind of that spark. But when you're South Node's in Leo, it's like been there, done that, So karmically, it makes me think that the cosmos is saying that there's no more need to really let to have the fire. So usually I would give the whole lack of fire speech. I'm still going to speak about it because like it still could show up, and you were one of the people who got a follow up. So this is actually something I'll say early in the reading. People tend to watch their reading multiple times. I suggest first time just watch it, take it in, no notes. I mean, you can if you want. Like, I would just jot down like the notes, like if I, like because there'll be something where I'll be like, make sure to remind me to bring this up in the follow up because I do so many readings. Even if I didn't do that many readings, I kind of black out when I do readings. It's the strange thing. Some people say that it's because I'm like channeling, but like I don't feel like I'm channeling. But like now that maybe I am, I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, if you quiz me on your chart like 15 minutes later, I probably would remember very few things. I guess maybe it's more to do with the flow state. Maybe it was a little bit of channeling. Who the hell knows? And it doesn't really matter. But yeah, basically that's kind of what I see. Just like and I've been liking to kind of start sometimes with like the karmic parts of the chart. A lot of people really want to hear about it. And I make my way around. Sometimes I'm more structured with my readings, but the fact that you have North Node on the ascendant in Aquarius, which is, we share the same South Node North Node, so we're in the same year, so we have that kind of same karma of trying to move away from. Well, it's interesting in your case, right? Because it's in the seventh house of South Node, but trying to move away from the me and trying to move towards it's actually a very, very interesting how it is in your chart, because you see here the south node, it's in the house of relationships, so but it's in Leo, a very, very like kind of personal sign. Lots of south nodes in Leo, they have no trouble taking center stage and being the star per se. But with the north node at Aquarius, it's like in this life you're really meant to kind of be of service to humanity and start looking at things from a more collective standpoint. How can I impact the people, the world as a whole, and do things that are selfless, right? That's one way. But also with the rest of your chart, with all that air, right? We see down here in this little chart down here that air is completely dominant. That's because you're really trying to get to develop your your capacity for communication, for seeing other people's points of view, intellect, all the air stuff, right? So with that said, North Node in the first house typically indicates someone who's meant to kind of blaze their own trail, and in past life maybe they weren't really like that. Like maybe if it was romantic relationships or any kind of like close partnerships, maybe they they took too much from that, right? And I'll switch back and forth to my case. I kind of just like to show the chart a little bit. I hope I hope these tests are working well. I'm gonna like constantly do tests. I'm gonna do one more right now. It was a little bit choppy for a second, and okay, test night, test. That was very choppy. Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing. So yeah, we're talking about this and this and that, and this and this and that, this and this and that, and there's been a volume up there. We're talking about this and that, and this and that, and this and that. Okay. I don't like this. One second, I'm gonna pause this. I just feel like they've been only charging for like 10 minutes. Let me see if it works. Hold on.
Okay, well, these are way better, and it's at 45 minutes, so we're just gonna see get as much juice out of these as we can, and then we'll see what happens. In either case, so with that North Node in the first house, as I said, like you're meant to really be a pioneer of your own individualism in this life, because that's also what Aquarius stands for. So it could relate to moving away. I've seen this in a lot of clients recently, moving away from lots of I'm looking at your aspect grid, conditioning from past lives, or in this case with the Sun square Saturn and Neptune, there could be something with conditioning here, right? And Mercury squaring Uranus, that's the the person who's very rebellious and who has a very ingenious way of thinking. I see a lot of my clients have this aspect, and it's an exact square. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so kind of finishing off what I was saying with the North Node and the Ascendant, it's like you're really meant, like you're an Aquarius rising, right? So you express yourself in a very individualistic way, a way that you're not meant to kind of follow like the norm of society. You're meant to be your own person. You're meant to be super unique, and it's meant to come from within, like from within yourself, like who you want to be and decisions you want to make. Now, when I see that mixed with the Sun, which typically rules the father, it's not always the case, square Saturn, square Neptune, it makes me think that there's some level of, when you're growing up, right, of strictness or rigidity, or something that was very, and with Neptune square, a lot of times it can speak of like a father that was, there's some confusion around the relationships, and fog around the relationship. Maybe he was absent, or in some cases passed away early, or like just wasn't really a big part of the life. It's difficult to tell. But overall, the fact that you have a trine between your sun and your moon, that typically speaks of like a very good relationship between the two parents, typically. But just because there's a good relationship between two parents doesn't mean that there's a perfect relationship between parent and daughter, right? Now your moon, which typically is the mother, I see no difficult aspects. I actually see only good, like very smooth flowing aspects. So that's very, very, I try to stay away from positive and negative when I talk about astrology, but the most difficult, one of the most difficult things you can have in astrology is hard aspects to your moon, because the moon is the unconscious. So that's good. Now, but yeah, the fact that the North is conjunct your Aquarius rising, it means that whatever that represents to you, that individualism, that outer individualism, that is following that, and the highest vibration of Aquarius, that you manifest in your outer personality, is really kind of your doorway to higher awareness, your it's like the North Node is like the mountain that has not been climbed in past lives, and there can be lots of pushback, and it can be very difficult for one to access their North Node, right? And it's a whole journey towards the North Node in the chart. And trust me, we have the same one. So like for me, and I try not to share about myself that often, which is totally a Leo and South Node trait. But and you have South Node conjunct Jupiter too, so that you know, that could indicate like you know, a lot of privilege in past lives, maybe being like someone in a very high position. I'm not sure about. I know nothing about you, by the way. Like I make it a point. I say this every single reading, that I don't look at any photos. I completely forget everything about the energy of the person and before I do the reading. And I never like click on the profile and look at even like a photo. Like I think you're blonde, maybe. I don't know. I just know you're born in 1990. And all your birth info. You're from Georgia, the great state of Georgia. But something tells me that you don't live there anymore. And that something is your 9th house, Sun, Venus, and Mercury. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so I sometimes give my and we can talk about this more in the follow-up, so definitely make a note about that. We can have a discussion, and also with the follow-up, I'm just gonna tell you, like, nearly every single person that's doing readings with me, or at least a high majority, are doing this new thing I'm doing, where so I have this reading and then the current astrology reading, right? The current astrology reading is basically me. This is the book of your life. You get this done once. The current astrology reading is essentially how all I use predictive astrology, is completely different. It's basically like this current cosmic chapter for you and what to expect. And I mix in my 2 master's degrees in psychology. And what I've been doing is, for people interested, you know, like yourself, you already have the follow-up, is taking a full day on my schedule, right, where it's just you, and we do back-to-back follow-up, then current astrology. And I give very good prices to people who do that. I think it's like the savings, what was it? It's like it ends up being, I do it for 300 for the 2, or no, for you it'd be less because you already have a follow-up. So yeah, I'd have to get back to you on that, but it ends up like saving like a crazy amount of money compared to if you would have bought it through the website. So you can let me know about that, but those are really powerful, because, and the reason that I had no idea this would happen, it kind of happened like randomly when I tried it once. But what happens is that during the follow-up, we get so I get so, like, your chart is so fresh in my mind that, and then when we go seamlessly right into the current astrology, it makes that reading, which, like I said, it's a live reading. We're on Zoom, we're talking, we're answering questions, we're using everything. Like, the whole point is for you to end that session feeling like it was 1,000 times worth, you know, what you paid for it, what you like, the investment you made, whatever means necessary. And I kind of just like use all my, not weapons, it's wrong, all my tools to kind of get there. So keep that in mind. Let me know over IG after you get this reading, what if you feel like doing that, and then we can definitely set a date. With that said, I return to the reading. And you know, in this reading, it's I'm solving in my head and through words a cosmic puzzle. So you know, it's not always going to be, basically the whole point is that you understand it all, right? That's why it's complex. That's why people typically watch it many times, and it's usually like, I tell people, like, you know, if it's the second or even third time, or sometimes even fourth time, sometimes even fifth, I'd say on average probably people watch it like at least twice, but usually 3 times from what I've heard. Maybe some, I don't know, some people probably just watch it just once. But that's when, you know, especially with people who are serious about, you know, taking notes to ask the questions you understand about the follow-up, very important for the follow-up. So yeah, really leaning into that high Aquarius energy, extremely important. Now, being a Libra, I have to always give this, you know, and like I said, I don't like talking about sun signs that much because I feel like everyone knows about their horoscopes and what their sign represents. But you know, with Libras, I always with triple Libra, stellium and Libra, like yourself, I always talk about the fact that Libra can be very people pleasing. Oh, I just had a genius idea. Okay, it's not genius, Jesse, but it's hold up, I realized that I have a cable that I should be able to plug into my computer. I never tested this. We'll try it. If like the battery runs out, I like having the Bluetooth way more, obviously, but what can you do? So I'm literally gonna like test like the audio like every like 15 minutes. I know it might be a little bit annoying, but like there's nothing worse than having to. I don't have to test. I can just actually just look. Okay, yeah, it's working. Anyways, yeah, there's nothing worse than like putting your heart and soul into a reading and then have no audio or shitty audio. So, anyways, so basically, yeah, that's one aspect, and we'll return to it. I definitely like there could be some people who have Leo's south nodes that can have some type of entitlement, like and I don't know what kind of family you're born into. It's very, it's tough to tell from the chart, just like at least at this point. But basically, like Jupiter on the south node, you could assume that you were like someone who is in a very advantageous position. Maybe you were in a very favorable partnership, and potentially you a very regal. Maybe like and I don't like to say this because it sounds cliche, but like it does feel regal, because it's Leo, seventh house. Maybe I don't want to say you're a princess, but get there could be like a tendency to kind of like form these like very very like advantageous partnerships where you just benefit naturally, but they don't necessarily like reflect your true self and like give you the ability to kind of give back to society, to use all these like skills that you've like these like very creative Leo you know skills. Cat's so funny. That you've accumulated through past lives, to give back to humanity. Anyways, I continue. So moon, obviously, it's in Gemini. So, and I like to talk a lot about romance because it's very important to people. And one thing I can definitely say with Gemini moons, just in general, is that they are bored very easily, and they are very 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 talented, very very creative, very very multifaceted. Like they're the type of people who can have like two different careers, or like just like be doing like juggling all these different things in their life, and be super super versatile in whatever it might be. Now, when it comes to commitment, though, it can be difficult because there's this energy, right? And I think you have Uranus just squaring Mercury, right? Yeah. So there can be this energy, right, where things like relationships have to really be very, very, very intellectually stimulating to you. Um and probably with all your ninth house energy, I could, a lot of people that have like Venus in the ninth house and Sun, ninth house, Mercury there. They're at the very least very interested in foreign cultures and in different types of ways of looking at universal truth. But also like they can be very attracted to people from different cultures, right? They can end up marrying someone who's from they can be they because they yeah, marrying someone from like a different country, completely different cultural background. And it's not from the same country, just someone from like, a very who has their very different worldview than them, right? Um, and they learn a lot through that. And with your Jupiter in the seventh house, regardless of the fact that Saturn's there, well, what that's going to say on another end is that your relationships will be very karmic, and that you will have a lot of luck, and you'll learn a lot through your relationships. And it's a very positive energy to have Jupiter in the seventh house. Very very positive. Um, Jupiter expands, so yeah, you can feel that expansion in partnerships, and not just romantic ones. It could be business ones if you're a psychologist or an astrologer. It could be in like the one-on-one relationships you have with clients, and it also rules enemies, open enemies. So Jupiter there can kind of push that away, and be very good for all types of very close one-on-one relationships. Now, back to the moon, right? In Gemini, it's difficult for people who have Gemini, Aquarius, Libra moons to sometimes process emotions in a way that like most people process them. So I'll give you an example. Let's say let's say you have a sister who's like very similar age to you. You guys are born the same year, right? Let's say the exact same thing happens to you. Let's say like a divorce, or like let's I don't want to get grim, but let's just say you guys have something bad happens, not horrible, just something like bad. She has a Cancer moon or a Pisces moon. You have an Aquarius, a Gemini moon. The person with a Cancer moon, right? They will experience that emotion right away, and they will cry about it. They will really, really let all that emotion out in that moment. And it might seem like crybaby energy, but what happens is that they're able to like release the sadness in that moment. Kind of like when animals, and I always get inspiration from my cats, like when they fight or something, they just shake it off, right? I don't know if that was a good example actually, but you get the point. Like they deal with it right away. So with Gemini moons, air moons in general, there can be a tendency, because it's ruled by Mercury, which it rules the mind and communication, all that. There can be a tendency to like apply too much logic to emotions, and that can get you in trouble. And what can happen is that, like, for example, like I was in my example before, the Cancer sibling feels that, cries about it. The Gemini moon person might not actually, they might just be like, okay, like they might just be like, oh, whatever, and 6 months later they actually feel the emotion. There's no such thing as a moon sign that's like, okay, yes, some moon signs are more emotional. Everyone has emotions, right? Everyone has emotions. I don't care about your moon sign. To say, some people would say that people with air moons are less emotional, and I would agree with that. But I would say that there can be a tendency to trust logic over emotion, and with even lacking the water in your chart, which this is another big thing. Getting in touch with your emotions can be an area of struggle, big time. And we'll see with you do have Sun square Neptune, which it's like, it was the third or fourth straight chart in a row that I've had that. I don't know. I just made a video about this today, about how I just keep seeing the same thing. And also your North Node and the Ascendant, like that's another one where I keep seeing nonstop. But basically, like, yeah, so Gemini moon, relationships, and then Mars is on there, you can't forget that. So that's gonna give you this extra drive. You'll be very, very good with words, very, very communicative. You'll be someone who wants, like, very, very social, who wants to communicate with people in your immediate environment. Small talk, which to many it can be very boring. People with Gemini moons can actually enjoy small talk, and that doesn't say anything about intelligence or anything, because Gemini moon is very intelligent, right? But it speaks to the ability to kind of like have this very sociable side to you, right? Which is very, very advantageous in many areas of life, whether it's work, relationships, friendships, all that stuff. So aside from that, yeah, in relationships, having that there, as I said before, you got to watch out. You can get bored easily. So it's having someone that you find very intelligent, that they don't have to see the world the exact same way as you, but philosophy is very important to you because your sun is in the ninth house. And being a Libra, you're naturally going to be in Venus there. You're naturally going to really want relationships that are very balanced, equal, fair, peaceful, all that stuff. But you have to really watch out, as I was about to say before, for that people pleasing element that can come out. And when you come with Libra, where you're putting other people before yourself, right? Like, because Libra is the balance. So there could be a situation where, like, person A, like they say you're in a relationship with a person, that that you kind of put yourself down just to restore peace, when really you should be standing your ground. And that's a big challenge for lots of very Libra people. and that's where they get the reputation of sometimes being fake or not, like authentic or people pleasing or whatever. All that stuff is because a lot of them fail to have that awareness. But even you getting this reading, and I'm sure you've learned about your astrology before. Maybe you haven't. Who knows? I literally have no idea. You could be an astrology master, but awareness is the first step. Literally, awareness is the first step, and people underestimate the power that awareness has. Just that first time I heard something about my chart, like my Sag moon, like it changed my whole life. The first time I ever heard about Venus square Pluto changed my life even more. So that's, and it grows over time. That's why I post my readings on YouTube, because I want to ensure that my clients 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, I assume YouTube won't take down my channel because there's no controversy on there. But regardless, that they'll be able to come back to the reading. And even if they fear that Jesse Nison on YouTube will get taken down, they can download the reading. And I know there's different ways you can download YouTube videos. I digress. So yeah, also Mars conjunct Moon can create someone who's very action oriented. There's an emotional need for action. So that can actually, like, you lack fire, but the fact that Mars is on your moon is going to kind of make up for some of that, and it's going to make, like, link your emotions and I want to get one book out. I love this book. It's like a very, like there's just this one part of it that I like when I because it just gives you these, like, keywords, like with different, like, kind of some of, like, the more, like, mini aspects, but and then I can kind of, like, expand on it. So, like, yeah, so, like, for Moon and Mars, it says energetic, resourceful, quick acting. Wait, no, that's wrong, because it's a conjunction. It says courage, liveliness, strong powers of concentration. So yeah, definitely. I think the liveliness part is huge with this. You're someone who's very adventurous, and your adventures, they want to. There's definitely, like, a eccentricity, and I know that's not, like, the right word, because I feel like eccentric kind of implies something, but they could be a little bit eccentric, but definitely not unconventional, right? And here's my little Cancer baby. I feel like she comes to, like, every reading. Whenever I'm working, she comes. So and also, it's so weird. It's like the synchronicities that my cats do, because you have Chiron in the 6th house, which we'll go into, but the 6th house, one of the things that it rules is animals, and Chiron represents healing. So you could be someone who is able to actually heal through your association with pets. There's real animals, there's real pets, like this little baby. But yeah, so more on that later with the moon and with Chiron. But yeah, so with the sun in the 9th house, and also, by the way, before I get there, moon in the 5th house, Mars in the 5th house, there's this really intense urge towards creativity, authentic self-expression. So I imagine you being someone who dips their feet in lots of different forms of self-expression. You might be a little bit of a flirty person. You're probably very relationship oriented, I would imagine. And yeah, 5th house is very flirty, very fun, very inner childy. You like to have fun. You like to adventure, and that's part of your journey, right? When you're north in the 1st house, that's the house of Aries, the house of the inner child, right? So reclaiming that and finding different avenues is very important. By the way, just so you know, I read charts the same way I would read for 20 to a 30 to a 40-year-old. When I get to, like, 10 and 50, maybe a little bit different, but, like, tiny bit different. It's kind of the same. Esme, get off my book. She stole my bookmark. So with that said, that stellium in Libra, Venus, Mars, and Mercury, in the 9th house, the heights of your life purpose is very, very linked to finding universal truth that you can kind of attach yourself to, and it is very, 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 very good for traveling. physically and metaphorically, whether it's learning things like astrology, learning about Carl Jung, going to different universities, any kind of education. You're a constant learner and a constant traveler, right? It's like it's like giving you some Sagittarian energy, even though you don't have Sagittarius in your chart. And as a Libra, as I said before, the thing with boundaries, or insinuated, the thing with boundaries is very important. So, making sure that you have a strong set of values that you can attach yourself to is very important. Libras can really, really struggle with that. Really, really, really struggle. So that's mega important. Now, next, having Sun conjunct Venus. Let's see what it says here. That's a very, very nice one. A very harmonious aspect, bringing warm heartedness, sociability, and charm. So definitely, I don't like with anything I've seen so far, and we're gonna get into some of the tougher aspects in a second. It's good for popularity, and then let's see what it says here, because it's not combust. Yeah, so basically, like, you don't have the bad conjunction where Sun and Mercury, because they're always within 28 degrees of each other. If you have it within 5 degrees close, Sun burns the Mercury. So yeah, it's so you don't have that. And you don't even have it with Venus either. It's right out of orb. So you have no combust. I don't know if the Venus orb is, because those are only 48 degrees apart. But yeah, it's a good one. But those two together, ninth house, like, yeah, definitely attracted to foreign cultures, definitely maybe even foreign languages, learning about different cultures and about different philosophies. You're very driven that way. And because of that Gemini moon, there's gonna be always that curiosity to try to understand different ways people view the world. And in our follow-up, just remind me code word group, because speaking of seeing the world, just say code word you said something about a group. Just say that. Now, I only say this because of things I see in your chart. Now, with this, right? So we're and I guess we can just briefly say, okay, Moon, trine Sun. Let's see what it says. Well integrated personality, adaptable to others, tends to have harmonious home life, gets promotions and job. These are like more. That's the really good one. I already talked about that before. Moon and Venus, and Moon in conjunct. So Moon and Venus. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, but that one actually did apply. But Moon in Sun, Moon and Venus, affectionate, lighthearted personality, love of beauty, artistic talent, and then Moon conjunct Mars, courage, liveliness, strong power of concentration. So those are, yeah. And then also Venus conjunct Mercury. Gotta get these ones. Charm of speech, balance between mental activities and love of art and beauty. So that's I love that aspect in Libra, because you have this real ability to, and we'll talk about the tough aspects coming up, but like this ability to kind of communicate yourself in a way that's very, very peaceful, and that people can, it's very digestible for people. So you could be like a very, very good teacher of whatever, and when I say teacher, I don't mean school teacher, I mean like any kind of teacher, right? Open my water, my carbonated water. But so good. Romanian water is the best. So yeah. So anyways, then we move to the Sun. Also conjunct Venus. As I said before, trine Mars. So trine Mars is very it's assertive, creative, enterprising, indicates a high energy level. Now let's get to the major aspects. Now that we've kind of cleared through all like the more minor ones. Or actually, there's one minor one that we haven't cleared, and then we're done with those. And that's Venus trine Mars, which is a very good one. and that's feelings of warmth and affection, easily expressed, enthusiastic, passionate, romantic. Very, very nice to have your Mars and your Venus. It creates another, like, your yin yang, your balance of feminine masculine is very, very like in tuned, both at the Venus and Mars level. That's one level of the yin yang, and then the larger yin yang is like sun and moon. They're both like your Mercury is on your sun, and your moon is on your Mars. So there you go. But with that said, you have an excess of air. So having an excess of air and lacking water, and then you have so much air, you lack fire, as I said before, you lack water, and then I'm looking. And yeah, your Jupiter is in Leo, so it's kind of like a middle planet, but yeah, I mean the fire isn't the thing I see is like the thing you're really missing, even though you don't have any fire planets. But I'm looking for Earth. Do you have every single inner planet in air? I think you do. Ascendant. Yeah, damn, you got everything in air. So you are an airy air. So that is big time. So okay, first of all, before I get into that, when you lack earth, that gives you, like, especially when you have like a lot of air, you can kind of float off, right? You can be too much in the realm of ideas and perceptions and intellect and logic, and lacking earth is like that rock that brings you down to earth, ironically. So it can give issues with grounding, basically, when you lack earth. I have no earth either, right? So you have to really work hard on, like, whether it's meditation, like if it's doing like things, something like yoga, hiking, gardening. I mean, there's countless examples of like of ways where you can kind of add to that missing earth element, right? So having lots of air, makes one very, very flexible, very, very mentally strong, very intelligent. But basically, when there's too much, it kind of literally goes with what I just said. It's hard to feel grounded and in your own body. That's why I highly recommend you doing, like, you meditating or doing something where you're able to like really feel your body, like really get in touch with the senses. And then with the lack of water, like doing something where you're working on your intuition, the third eye. And like I said, you have the square with Neptune, so once that's integrated, because you are still an empath, having Sun square Neptune. But yeah, like, just anything that gets you in touch with your emotions, like as an air moon, like I said, there's a tendency to kind of like choose logic over emotion. So just really, really trying to get in touch with those energies. And the fire, I don't worry about as much, but what I would say about that is just like pushing, like, well, you have you have Mars conjunct your moon in South Node Leo, but like still, like, and fire is also a masculine element, as is air, so it's not a concern to me. In the sense of like, it's like going to be very detrimental to lack fire, but basically when you do lack fire, it's like that self-starting energy, but yeah. So with the excess of air, you can kind of feel lost in your own head, like kind of in the clouds energy. Like, you can have all these ideas, but it can be difficult, like, to like bring them down and like put them into like some kind of tangible, like kind of like Virgo-y like structure, right? So your mind also can be so, hey, cats, Fedix, stop running around. Run around somewhere else. I'll show you my cats for a second. A little cat break. And I'll keep talking while I do this. But basically, like, yeah, like you hit, like, people who have lots of air, they can sometimes have like insomnia. They're gonna fight in a second. they know they're being filmed. Like, he's so smart. They always know. Esme, Felix, come on, Esme. Yeah, you guys are energized. Okay, so yeah, like basically like insomnia is very common with this, like running thoughts, high strung. A lot of people like, because get away from my charger, Esme. Because like there can be like people who have lots of air can be smokers, because like it literally rules the lungs, right? Everything in astrology is connected to the real world. It's very, very interesting. And there can be an over like you can like overuse your energy. You can be like someone who talks a lot, which like can be problematic, right? Like I don't like to talk about my group, but I've had to remove people from my group who lack, I guess you could say, this awareness of when they're oversharing, when they're taking up too much space. And I haven't associated, actually, it's never actually been someone who's had air, interestingly. But I have had to kick out 5 people of my group in the history of it, for different reasons. But yeah, basically like when there's the air, there's just this really undying mental energy, talking, texting, whatever it is, right? And this lack of feeling like you can't really organize your thoughts. So ways to ground it, let's talk about that. Just take your time, even when, like, for example, like when you're eating a meal. That Zen energy. Meditation is the best, but like slow with everything. Mindfulness practice, right? Like living your life in a very mindfulness way. You probably don't really need caffeine and stimulants. I'm sure you still probably use caffeine, but like you probably naturally don't need it. And just like knowing like when to kind of like, you might be someone who's so like in touch with like information, and like I said, like this is all potentials. Like you could have like overcome a lot of this. So like don't take any of this personally, like I'm like judging you or saying this is how you are. Esme, chill. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Also like air, like yeah, with the whole information things, so structuring your life, like with your cell phone, or just like media in general, giving yourself time to like wind down before bed. Also, like just like that kind of energy, right? And also steering clear of like any kind of like news that can like really provoke anxiety in you, because like having a lot of air, a lot of people can have like OCD or anxiety disorders, stuff of that nature. And then also, of course, finding like healthy ways, whether it's working out, whatever it is, to really burn off kind of like that nervous energy. So with that said, hard aspects, we talked about a lot already. Sun square Saturn, typically issues with the father a lot of times, where you felt like that, that your core energy, may have been held back, early childhood, which ironically, a lot of times leads to shyness, up until around right now, the Saturn return, or like what is it's past, it's done now for you, it's been done. But so that's one thing. So it can create self-esteem issues and lots of restrictions, which now you on your Saturn turn, they start to feel lifted, which can be very powerful. Sun in Neptune, now that one's very interesting too. That can kind of create an energy, and these are all in the 12th house as well. Just get into it a little bit. That can create an energy where you have like sort of confusion, like mental confusion around who you are, right? And I see, like I said, I see this with so many clients, and it creates like lots of challenges you have to overcome in order to really like feel strong and confident in your own self. It makes one you can fall victim to injustices, and it can be difficult for self-esteem and confidence, basically, right? So yeah, it can lead to lots of confusion of who am I, and it kind of pushes people into spirituality and into like really trying to discover, which is like, you know, a big part of your life purpose, who their authentic self really is. So yeah, aside from that, sometimes there can be like this whole victim thing where you can feel like a victim, like you're like constantly backed into a corner. And yeah, just like also it makes you very empathetic and really want to fight for just causes, which is like very in line. It's like the higher energy of it when it gets like, you know, manifested in the right way. So yeah, the best way to deal with this is to become like involved in like different social causes, humanitarian causes, anything that helps you get to that Aquarius North node. And yeah, also like improving like inner strength, like, and just like really working on that self-image. So like I always say with people who have this aspect that filming yourself, you know, filming myself or like this, you know, video, you have to show anyone, um or like even like doing affirmations in the mirror. Neptune rules cameras and mirrors, so you know, these actually have like proven like with clients of mine to really help them. But also like it's really good for like you know, careers in music, anything like poetry, anything creative. um but like the whole like empathetic part can also lead to careers and like anything like charity, activism, anything that's like spiritual and standing up for other people. Also religion, like with ninth house also rules religion, so that's another thing that can be highlighted. But it's really like I see it more as like you know, I see it as a form of like finding truth, which I link to spirituality. So then Neptune, or excuse me, Mercury, which you have, you know, in Libra, which can be people pleasing. Like I said, you know, like not wanting to rock the boat too much, but it's square Uranus in 12th house. So what that can do is that can kind of make you very rebellious in terms of the way, like it gives you like a very ingenious way of thinking and kind of processing, and like very different than the norm. And basically like it can kind of make it so that there's like issues with people who are more traditional minded. um and yeah, it can speak further to kind of like the scattered mind archetype, right? There can be like very eccentric thought patterns. Like I know this one. No, wait, I thought, no, never mind. Yeah, very eccentric thought patterns, feelings of intellectual superiority. There can be like this like kind of know-it-all energy, right? And this like big, massive back and forth between like mind and emotion, mind and emotion, mind and emotion. And yeah, like very rebellious in how you think and how you talk. So, which isn't necessarily a bad thing when you know your chart's ruled by Uranus. But like what happens is like typically like your initial reaction to any kind of like social tradition will be to go against it, even if it's a good social tradition, right? So it's asking you to kind of like have discernment and like really look at things objectively. um like yeah, it's like the person who's like the opposer of ideas, right? um so it can be frustrating, because like a lot of people like you can feel like people just don't get you, and just really being against like social rules, basically. And aside from that, Yeah, this is another one that's just all about grounding, grounding yourself and you know, finding a way to kind of transfer this energy um from like being like this like very oppositional rebellious like kind of like automatic way into being something that's more because like it's like a not like a natural contradictor, right? um so it's better to kind of like sort of try to like look at things objectively and give more time, because it gives you like a super fast mind. Boom, 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 boom. That's your brain, right? Which we already talked about before with all your air. So I'm very curious in the follow up to hear about how you experienced having this energy as a like when you're growing up, and what changes you've made, like what's worked for you, because I've it's very very rare that I've done over 1,000 birth charts professionally in my in my time as an astrologer, and I obviously I don't have all of them in my brain, but the number of times that I've seen everyone have their big six, which is their big three, sun, moon, rising, and then also Venus, Mars, and Mercury, all in the same element. I can't remember one on the top of my head. I mean, I know one person who is crazy, and he's my good friend's ex, and he was literally a psycho, but he had all his in Taurus. He was not spiritual at all, but that's like the one person that really comes to mind. But then again, like I know, like as another example, like I'm pretty sure Blake Lively. I know nothing about her. I don't like listen. I think she does country music. No disrespect if you're into that kind of music. I just don't know much about it. I'm not here in Romania. Our country music is Manele. But I think she has like everything in Virgo pretty much. She has a Leo rising, and then besides her rising, she has Yeah, she has every planet in Virgo besides her rising. So, and like from what I've heard, and she has Pluto in the IC, super difficult. So what I've heard about her from different people is very good things. So you see how she's probably like, learned to use that as an advantage. And she's probably, definitely probably very spiritual, and had an astrologer or whatever to figure out. Not that's the only way to figure that out, but she probably was like, she probably has and has implemented some of these techniques I talked about that we can talk about further. What else can I say about this? Yeah, so there can definitely be like this alienation aspect from society, um, and but also it's like it's like best channeled through like being of service and the North Node Aquarius, and finding your own unique pioneering way of giving back, and that literally like undoes like all of like the difficult energies in anyone's chart when they do God's work in their own specific way. Now looking further here, so Venus is also squaring Neptune and Uranus, which hold up real quick. You know what? Sun is it's 10 degrees away, but to me that counts. It's a loose square between Sun and Uranus, but that just adds more to what I was just saying and just makes it even bigger. That's like just the ultimate like rebellious like energy. Let's see what it says. Um, Rash, erratic, nervous strain, possible separation in marriage. But yeah, like it's a looser one, so it's not going to be like as intense as like the Neptune or the Saturn one, but it adds more like in Venus square there too. and now we're gonna, you know, get more into relationship stuff, but it can definitely kind of like, it just makes one a very anti-tradition. So it's very important for them to like find that set of values that they, spiritual values, universal truth, that they then live their life based on those truths and balance themselves, right? Now, with the Venus, so Venus is in Libra, like I said, ideally, you know, you want to have these like very fair, balanced, beautiful relationships. Now, with the squares, the triple squares, so first of all, to the one that's closest, which is Neptune, that's the ultimate like rose-colored glasses. I always go like this: rose-colored glasses and love energy. Especially when you combine that with your moon and Mars, it can create someone who, and where's fucking Lilith, in Sag. Yeah, it can definitely create someone who kind of like sees that like all like in that kind of like, you know, initial like everything is perfect period. They can kind of get a little bit carried away, and I'll be right back, I'm still talking. But they can get a little bit carried away, and there can be a potential which can be very, very like not traumatic but very dangerous to basically like give up on things that like work because they don't have that novelty, right? Like because that ability to get really bored really easily. But with the Neptune, it can create lots of confusion, not only around, you know, like in relationships, like the rose-colored glasses, like, oh my god, this person's so amazing, like, you know. And I'm not mimicking you. I'm mimicking the energy that this can come. Remember, there's 3 different aspects to your Venus, so we're gonna have to combine them all together. But it's that energy, like, oh my god, this person's so amazing, like, you know, and Gemini is so curious that it can sometimes lead to someone kind of leaving behind things that, you know, oh shit, you know, like relationships that might actually like be very healthy, um, and entering ones that like seem very good but then end up not that good. Let me just do another audio check. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, we are good. So that's that. Now with the Uranus square, it's just more of that same like energy. So okay, so here's the split. The Libra energy wants that relationship. Your Juno is which represents your ideal partner, is in Scorpio, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. It's conjunct the midheaven, which your Pluto's there too, which is wow, that's very, very, very interesting. So what that's kind of telling me is that even though like there's a level of like depth that you're seeking in a partner, definitely you want someone who's capable, who's successful, who's passionate about what they're doing, but someone who has a certain emotional depth to them, perhaps like, you know, help who can kind of contribute to your lack of water in your chart. Um, but also who's very driven and you know, about their career and their outer life, because you really are too. Pluto in the 10th house, you know, you're really here to on another level, once you really find that truth, like those higher ideals that you're trying to subscribe to and base all your decisions off of, then moving those into a meaningful like outer like career, and using all that mental like firepower that hopefully you're able to balance and pushing that into career. But yeah, the Juno part is very interesting because it's like Juno and Scorpio is like, you know, I had this as well. You know, you were born a little bit after me, a few months after me. I was born March 18th of 1990, you October 8th. But yeah, definitely like seeking out someone who can really be very, very loyal to you. So that's another part, like that you never have to like ever worry about them cheating, because your energy can be very, very scattered. So Scorpio energy can be very, very like stable at its highest, right? Or in a sense, stable in the sense of like for example, my girlfriend's a Scorpio, and she can be a real, let's just say, hassle at times, a real drama queen. But I know 1,000% I could send her to, the club where there's Justin Bieber and whatever other guys girls consider Neymar she thinks is very attractive. Like, and I know she wouldn't do anything, even if they made moves on her. That's Scorpio at its highest, right? It's the most loyal energy, in my opinion. And I think my poll that I didn't Scorpio win most loyal? And hold on, one quick second. Hold on. I guess I can keep talking while I check this. So yeah, so then Venus, Venus, yeah, with the Neptune, it can also cloud your sense of self, your sense of self-love. So it's very, very important to kind of learn to see yourself clear. And it goes back to that whole mirrors affirmation thing, even journaling, like using like that air, that intellect, that amazing ability. Let's talk about what air is great at. Air is great at writing. It's great at speaking, like using that to truly get in touch with yourself, that spiritual journey. And you have all these outer planets in the 12th house, which is very interesting. And then the Jupiter in the 7th house, I really doubt that you are someone that has issues, finding relationships. It's just that there could, and maybe this is past tense, be a tendency. I'm just seeing what I see of having commitment issues with the wrong types of partners. So when we talk about like what's the right type of partner, well, yeah, I said the thing about Scorpio, but also someone who's very, very stimulating. I said that before, but like what can happen is that with Venus square Uranus, you can feel like in the wrong types of relationships, like you can really feel this very, very easily, like you're in a prison, like the relationship is a prison that's pushing you away from your maximum individualism. So it's important to like understand that and to know that that's part of your chart. That's something that's meant to be overcome. And at its highest, when it's integrated, Venus and Uranus is this very genius energy, which wants you to have relationships, right? And this goes back to your North Node in the first house, but relationships where you're able to find your own, still keep, and I have a lot of this too, still keep your own individuality within the relationships. So like, where you don't like, where there's space and stuff like that. And then, yeah, so then with the Saturn, typically that makes it so like the most important relationships don't come until after the Saturn return. So that's like, now. But it can cause like, restrictions to like self-esteem and really like, it's more energy because Venus is really about self-love in its beginnings. So Saturn there can restrict some of that, and I guess you could say, yeah, make it difficult to achieve that, and kind of make one, yeah, bounce around a lot. But at its highest, when it's integrated, it gives like the best ability of any placement, Venus and also Venus and Saturn together, of being able to have long lasting relationships. So yeah, that's all the aspects. Now Mars is unaspected. Now that's no, that's not true. It's conjunct. I was capping. It has two aspects. It has the moon and the sun aspect, and it also definitely trines Venus. What am I talking about? I was way off. It's just because it showed a little bit different. And I'll share the chart for a little bit. I usually share it more, but I don't know, for some reason I just kept it on my face. Maybe it's because I'm like worried about like the headphones dying or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of the energy we've been talking about, squaring this. Now, aside from that, midheaven and Scorpio, so you know, you're definitely someone who wants to like through their career, through their get deeper into spirituality, uh you know like have meaningful work, whether it's like in research, investigating crimes, or some type of healing work, right? um and the fact that you have Pluto in the 10th house, as I get out my famous handwritten Pluto book, it's about like this desire to really form like a meaningful role within society, but there can be lots of like shadow in there, right? It's the Pluto in 10th house conjunct midheaven. But this is a very powerful place. Like, I hate to say his name, Vladimir Putin. He's just one person I know that I can think of that has this. Clearly, he's like ruler of his country, and lots of political people have this place of very powerful people. But isn't Serpentis conjunct your midheaven? Jesse investigates. Or is that? It's Unu. Yeah, it is. So we'll have to go into that after. And I'm just gonna check for other important. Okay, Rigel conjunct. Oh no, it's out of orb. 14 to 16. Yeah, it's I wouldn't count that one. Looking for like within 2 or hopefully 1. Okay. So you can be a very powerful writer, powerful speaker. But yeah, with the 10th house Pluto, um, it's about so like expressing personal power based on self-determination, self-discipline in order to achieve these goals. There's potential past life memories where you felt defeated by the system or a sense of mistreatment from others as they may have been judged or lacking in some way. The central karmic issue is accepting responsibility for your actions and to therefore begin to mature emotionally / psychologically. The skip karmic step was in the public domain, and this now represents the avenue of greatest growth for you. Accepting your thoughts, desires, and actions are accumulation of your own karma is paramount. Learning to place power within ourselves as opposed to outside of it and acting as victims of circumstances is one of the keys. There's a need to reconnect / re-identify with the experience of nurture and personal emotional belonging. So yeah, finding, like that career that fits perfectly. Now, Black Lilith and Sag can definitely, like within group environments, there can their friendships, group environments, there can be like a energy of potentially like kind of like trying to put your thought, your ideals, your truths, like pushing them too much on other people, maybe even being a little bit overly bold and stuff like that. So yeah. And aside from that, Vertex in the 8th house in Virgo, you'll come off as very, very like responsible and loyal. Like let me take that back, because I was gonna say loyal in your relationships. I'm not sure about that. I need to hear your experience because of all the air energy. But you'll definitely like be someone who like within the relationships that you really mess with, like you really are in love, like you'll be someone who's very consistent, if it's right. And for it to be right, there's lots of things that happen. We can talk more about that in the follow-up. I like having the follow-up, and hopefully we have the current astrology after that, because there's so much to be learned in that area. So much, so much, so much, so much. And now I understand why you're so impatient, or not impatient in a bad way. You were excited. You're an excited person. And it happens. I get people, and you weren't impolite, I don't think. but like, you wanted your reading. You got all that air. Now it makes sense. You got all that air. You want it. You want it. You want it. You want it. It can make you very impulsive. And impulsive. Just you get what I'm saying. You've got this energy. You understand this energy. Okay. So also, like, the doorway to higher awareness will be through this like death, rebirth, transformation that like might come in relationships. If you're meeting your Juno partner. And yeah, also like exploring like sexual taboos could be very, very like prominent and important. And yeah, like doorway to higher awareness, like also being a service and organizing your life, getting grounded, the Virgo energy of making lists and having your house clean and having your your shit together in that very orderly way. And then with the Chiron there in the 6th house, it speaks to like how healing can be like your job and your daily occupation. Yeah, like basically it's in Cancer, so that would speak potentially to like pain around like the family, like feeling unsure of yourself and your own family, usually like difficult relationship with your father, which your chart would indicate. Yeah, you have to kind of like I have that same placement, and you have to kind of go into that. And 6th house, like there could be feelings of physical inadequacy. Maybe you had like some injury as a child, and it makes you like on this journey for like self-healing techniques. So like I said, you're very versatile, so you might be someone who like dips your toes in tons of different teachings, and then you could be someone who ends up like being a healer, a teacher, as your profession. Who knows? Or have several different professions. But yeah, midheaven and Scorpio, like yeah, really wanting to like dig deep and kind of dig deep in some type of way in your work. And Serpentis conjunct your midheaven. Let's see if I can find any astrology on this. So okay, this is a difficult one, right? So it can have issues the professional life, maybe damaging to reputation or make someone very controversial, which you've already talked about. But you don't have any malefics there, so yeah. So it says many quarrels and disappointments, unfortunate issues in career, seriously affected by issues with family or friends. The list below seems to show people who have had very dramatic lives, often accompanied with controversial and outspoken views. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Like it can create someone who's like very affected by a death, not of their own. Okay, but you don't have any of these plants there. So yeah, overall, like it can just create lots of like really like dark energy. But the thing is with Serpentis is if you channel it into high spirituality, it literally gets rid of all that. And here it says bad name, rise by trade, followed by disgrace and ruin. If with the meridian and in conjunction with also malefics, you don't have that. So often there will be many difficulties in professional life. So that's kind of the overall energy. It's not to say that success, because success is destined with the Pluto there. You're meant to really make your mark on the world. But like with Cerberus, there can be lots of controversies. You have to really watch out for that. Pluto in 10th house, like I said, very powerful leader. And yeah. So kind of rounding things out. Let's see. Of course, I went over my hour, as I always do. One day I will learn. Port of Fortune, 9th house Libra. Basically, like, you'll feel lots of joy in your flow state when you create like that sense of harmony and right human relations. No like surprise there. And in the 9th house, it's like you experience that greatest joy through the discovery of that universal truth, that greatest truth. And yeah, like high spirituality, and it just goes perfectly with the rest of your chart. Okay, wrapping up, we have 3 planets in the 12th house. Saturn in the 12th, super difficult. Neptune in the 12th, very, very beautiful. Uranus in 12th, very, very beautiful. So let's start with the hard one. Saturn in the 12th can create lots of phobias. It can make someone fear anything hidden. So oftentimes it leads them to like this push to like really want to like get into the spiritual realms, but they can be afraid of like spirits. They can have all these like phobias, and they feel like their own boundaries are constantly threatened. So it typically, like in a high energy, it leads to like a serious examination of like all the hidden realms where you want to like conquer any phobias or fears. In Saturn Capricorn, like I have it makes you very like it's very, very good for being a good worker. And actually, it can give you some organizational skills and have strong worldly ambitions. Even though you have Earth in your chart, Saturn being an outer planet, like yeah, technically these are all Earth, but like I'm talking about personal planets. Okay, Neptune in the 12th. I mean, you've probably seen my list of most psychic placements. Neptune is at home in the 12th house. It adds some kind of water, if you want to put it like that. Like, it can make someone feel like overwhelmed by like the undercurrents of the world, able to really tap into the collective unconscious when they're able to ground themselves. Of course, that's the key. But also there can be like a tendency like to escape from the world with like fancy daydreaming, escapism, whatever. Hopefully it's like the right kind of escapism, and it just makes one very compassionate. And it's like that's where Neptune's at home. So so it's the best place you can have it. And when you're able to meditate, you can like get like it makes you like very, very in touch with like your imagination, your dream world, inspiration, and make you a very, very good artist. But it's all about being able to like kind of balance kind of the other parts. And then Uranus there, and we can talk more about these in the follow-up, but like Uranus in 12th house, I love that placement. I when I talk to people about it, it can give clairvoyance. Of course, once they're able to stabilize. Like when you're like you can get these intuitive flashes, like these downloads that come to you when you're meditating or like in a very calm state. And yeah, like it makes one like very, very like into it, like it definitely like adds to the intuition. And it's a very, very strong placement. But like the Neptune in the 12th house, it's like the gates to the collective unconscious and the other realms are wide open for you. 1 second, something just happened. Hold on. Okay, very interesting. So yeah, what else can I say about this? It's the best place you could possibly have Neptune. You have to look out for undeserved guilt. That's another thing. It does square your sun, so that does make it more difficult. Watch out for addictions and substances. Really, I said it's really good for the arts. You can like literally have these like antennas that like help your creativity, but you really have to find ways to build like these protective spiritual barriers like around you, because you can like literally take in too much information. So you might like have like all these streaming feelings and stuff like that, and I already said that with the air, which can be very, very difficult and very tiring. So yeah, what else? It's really good for like being a great psychologist, psychic abilities, yeah, prophetic dreams, all that stuff. Then finally Uranus, give a little more information on that. Like I said, the whole thing with downloads, intuitive flashes, and also there can be like a level, because like I said, it's squaring all those planets, emotional volatility, but yeah, it's definitely like clairvoyance, because Uranus is like more future oriented, so you can like literally like kind of see the future potentially. Very interesting, and like really understand like the human psyche on a deep level. But yeah, like very eccentric character, like your Aquarius rising. So like when you sleep and when you meditate, like because the 12th house rules those areas of life, you can get tons of like downloads. So that's why I would really, really get into that. Also, it can create very weird. Speaking of the guy who's doing a reading, it's 8:50 a.m. and I'm like full of energy. I'm going to do another one right after this. It can create very weird / abnormal patterns of sleep. And also like uncontrollable like paranormal activities. Like you may have like seen aliens, or like you have, whatever. Like it can just like create like these like life-changing profound experiences that like other people are like, you're crazy, but you're like, no, I like experienced that. But for you, like overall with your chart, it's all about slowing down, and you'll also be someone who will like probably need lots of loneliness at certain times during your life, to deepen into your spirituality. You might have like eccentric hobbies. If you're an artist, like I'd be very curious of like the kind of art you create, and I think it'd be a very, very good outlet for you to have some kind of creative outlet. But sometimes there can be a tendency to like hide your originality, which totally goes with the South Node in Leo. The South Node in Leo part of you, like which is like the South Node in Leo is like the layup. It's like the easy shot. It's like what we tend to do. The North Node's like the 3-pointer, very difficult. So like there can sometimes be like a part of you that wants to hide from your like eccentricity and originality. So you have to like kind of move past that. But yeah, like it can like overall like create like the revolutionary without a cause, someone who just wants to like confront the world and the system around them. Kind of like what I was saying before, like regardless of like what's really happening and whatnot. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to the follow-up. Message me when you're ready. And I also hope to do the current astrology if that's something you'd be interested in. So much that could be going on for you. I mean, I just have to look at your chart and really like try to figure out like with transits, solar return, which is like the new chart that's created each year. The chart of your year, house ingress, like for example, like your Pluto is still in your 12th house. So once Pluto leaves Capricorn, it will enter your first house, and we can talk about that and how life-changing that will be for you. And like that is just that in itself is unreal, like unbelievable. Uranus being in your like literally like I guess we have opposite. It's in your fourth house, but it's gonna be approaching your IC, so that can like maybe like cause a move. or like a desire to kind of like really change up the home life. There's a lot. And progressions, where's your progressed moon? That's like your emotional compass. You know, kind of like where you're at. It switches every 2.5 years. I just had my progressed sun change to Taurus. Happens once every 30 years. It's crazy, and like just I felt it for like months, and like I'm really feeling it now, and this is how it's gonna be for me, you know. Going from Aries to Taurus, right? So that plus solar arc plus perfections, annual perfections. I assume that you're in your I can't think what year are you in. Are you in your nine year? No, you're in your 8 year, I think. I can't remember. Either way, that's a deep reading. It's a live reading, as I said. We combine the follow-up and that. So let me know if you're interested. You've already done you know, purchased the reading plus follow-up. So typically on my website I have, I'll just give you the price right now of what I'm willing to offer you. So my price, which is on sale, by the way, it's a 90 to 120 minute reading, but just because like it's in person. I mean, it's an hour to 120 minutes, but like the fact that it's live, it tends to take longer. And that's not counting the follow-up, but like literally they blend seamlessly. Like it's a beautiful experience. It's it's typically $425. I have it on sale for $250. You know, when I do become hopefully like actually I think 425 is a little bit too expensive. I need to lower that. Not that I charge that, but like I think a price that I would charge that would be more around like 375, 350. Like when I'm like at that, like when I have like too many readings, I can barely handle it. But I always will make sales. But it's at 250 on my site right now, on sale, and I'd be willing to do it for. Let me think. What's a good one? You'll have to remind me of this. I'd be willing to do it for $60 off for $190 for the current astrology. So yeah, just let me know if that works for you, and we'll set a time regardless. Even like we'll set a time regardless of what if you do just the follow-up. But I highly recommend doing both together, so you can understand the energy of the now plus the energy of everything. All right, that's it for today. I'm happy my headphones lasted, and we shall talk soon, my friend.